You're now listening to the Stronger Inside podcast, where we break down all things regarding health, fitness, and wellness to help you improve your mind, body, and environment. And now, your host, Wayne, a.k.a. Workout with Wayne and Ernest, a.k.a. Mr. 100 Pounds Down.
All right, welcome back to Stronger Inside podcast. We are back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Episode number 10. We're in the double digits.
Going strong, baby.
Double digits.
Yeah, man.
All right, we're coming off that two-part episode last week, episode number 9. Still have not heard back from Oprah yet, so it's either a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
I was told that you were supposed to tag her in the post and see if she would reach out.
I think she's got better things to do.
I think you're scared.
I'm scared. No one wants Stedman in the step to me.
Oh, right. or Gail.
Yeah, I don't want no problems with Gail. I seen what happened to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, man.
He had to fall back on her. No problems with Oprah or Gail.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna do something a little different for this episode.
All right.
We're gonna discuss a certain topic, but there's a TV show based on this topic. So this is a huge reason why people struggle to lose weight, struggle to hit their fitness goals in general, struggle to make that necessary lifestyle change. What are we going to talk about today, Ernest?
So today we're going to talk about, are you a secret eater?
A secret eater.
Secret eater.
That's a funny phrase. The show we're going to reference is titled Secret Eaters. Secret Eaters is a British reality TV show about overeating. It was broadcast on Channel 4, which is popular. You've probably seen some shows from there if you're familiar with any British television. It's pretty interesting. So, Ernest, you checked a couple out. This is something that I've actually discussed with a couple of my clients before because I really think it's an interesting show and a lot of people can relate to it. So run the breakdown of the show and we'll jump into it.
All right. So what the show is about, you have a couple or some family members that come together and they say, hey, we've been putting on this weight over the course of the last few years. We don't know what the issue is or the problem is. We work out, we eat healthy, square meals every day, and we can't figure out why we're putting on weight. So they bring on these people from the show, and what they do is they put cameras in their home. They tell them they're going to put cameras in their home, and they're going to record their eating habits. So cameras in their kitchen, their living room, and places like that, so they can kind of check out what they're eating and when they're eating it.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to the people on the show is that they're actually going to follow them outside their home as well. So if you go to your friend's house or your family member's house,
to the pub,
to the local pub, the grocery store, or to these takeout restaurants, they're going to follow you there also, and they're going to
takeaway.
Excuse me.
You gotta get your British lingo, man.
Yeah. You go to these takeaway restaurants. They're going to follow you there and going to check on what you ordered there as well. And then at the end of the 5-day or week-long experiment, at the end of the 5-day experiment, they're going to then bring you back and then confront you with all the things that you were secretly eating. Now, prior to them starting this process, you go through a food diary and you indicate all the things that you eat on a regular basis and the caloric intake of those things. And so most of the people come back and they say, well, I only eat about 1,500 to 2,000 calories, maybe on the high end, 2,200 for some of the men.
Depending on,
Right. Yep. For some of the men, maybe on the 2,200 range. But no one is really indicating that they're eating 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 calories because, they think they're not eating that much. And so that's kind of the basis and premise of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting, these people are just so confused. They come in scratching their head. They just can't figure it out. Right. It's like, How am I gaining weight? And in their mind, they're not eating in a caloric surplus.
Mm-hmm.
we all know the basic laws. If you consume more than you burn, you gain. If you burn more than you consume, you lose. If you stay in that little maintenance zone, then you kind of stay the same. So these people are gaining, and it's not necessarily at a rapid rate, it's even at a gradual rate. But let's say you gain 3 pounds a year for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So it's something that's very slow. And then let's say, what does gaining 3 pounds a year look like? That is a very slow weight gain, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you wake up and you're 30, 40 or whatever, and you're 30 pounds overweight.
Mm-hmm.
And that did not come from you just aging or your metabolism necessarily slowing down. It's because you're at a caloric surplus. And this show really highlights that, sheds a light on it, exposes it. And I really enjoy it. So let's talk about the first part, where most people, they have them do the food diary, right? And they say, just write down everything you're eating. And it's so funny how the numbers that they record never match up with what the reality is a little bit later when they show it. Is that something that you've ever related to in terms of either when we first started with the food diary, we used MyFitnessPal, or anything that you've tried previously?
Yeah. When we first started, I never thought, because I didn't eat as much as far as multiple times a day, large meals and things like that. I wasn't getting the fast food for breakfast and then something crazy for a snack and then a large lunch and different things like that. And then, having a crazy dinner. I didn't think I was doing those types of things where I was at a crazy caloric surplus. But what I was doing, I was not eating lean meats. So I was eating. So when I did eat, I ate bad. I didn't eat good food. So when I did eat, I wasn't eating good food.
You weren't eating real food.
Wasn't eating real food. There you go. And so I think one of the things that I had to take away, one of the things I took away was that you can eat more and eat healthier, and still be at that, have that full feeling and be satisfied, but not have, all those bad foods, those things that, those not real foods that are going to do damage to your body or have you put on the extra pounds and things like that.
Yeah. It's really the processed foods. It goes back to the Western diet, and then it goes into what's quick and easy. So a lot of foods that you were eating and what these people are eating on these shows, you see that it's perceived quick and easy because there is a way to make healthy food quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
I cook all the time, and I don't do huge meal preps. There are times where I come home in between clients and I whip up a stir fry, I whip up a salad, I whip up a bowl or something. The same way people would go to these fast casual restaurants on their lunch break, or what is it? The Chipotles, the Cavas, even some of these salad places, Sweet Green and Sweet Leaf, and just these places where basically it's real food that they just get thrown together really quick and then they mark it up and then you buy it because you didn't make it.
Right.
I do that at home. And basically it's a little bit cheaper because I'm cutting my own vegetables, I'm cooking my own food, and there it is. But that's fast for me. So the same way these people are choosing to eat what we call quick and easy fast foods, but their stuff is processed. They're throwing in French fries and just other different things like that to where they're thinking it's quick and easy, but it's still heavily processed Western diet where there's the heavy influence of dairy and just kind of lack of vegetables as well, especially. And I know, did you notice that in this series?
Right.
The way they eat over there?
Right. I saw very few green things and very little color.
Very few. A lot of browns. A lot of shades of brown on that plate, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The gravies, the chips,
a lot of starches and things like that. Yep.
Yeah.
But one of the things I noticed early along, and I think you pointed out to me, was that a lot of the calories I was intaking were from my drinks and the things
the liquids. Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of liquids. So you don't even really think about it, and the fact that liquids don't really
don't fill you
up, right? So you drinking something from a Starbucks, or you're drinking something from a vending machine, a soda or whatever, and you're taking in that 250 calories, and then you're eating this highly fat saturated burger or fries and things like that. And now you just had that small little meal that isn't going to sustain you for a long period of time, just took up 900 calories out of your day.
That's the value meal.
Yeah.
You gotta get the soda with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Kind of going back to our participants, they are under logging their food. Really, they're not able to log everything that they're actually consuming, and that's what we find out. Is that something that you felt like you did before, or when we initially started logging, you felt like you were able to get everything down, and that wasn't really there wasn't no disconnect there?
So yes and no.
Okay.
And so this is a moment of honesty for your boy right here. So I logged my food. I logged the clean things that I was eating consistently.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if I notice that I logged 300 calories less than my goal calories for the day, maybe I'll have some sweet treats or something like that. Maybe I'll have a piece of this or a couple of these types of things. And I might not have logged those, but in my mind, I knew that, that was less than those 300 calories, but Wayne doesn't need to know that. It's all right.
So you did not log it.
So I did not log it on the app, but I logged it in my mind.
So let me ask you this. Did you actually look it up and not press enter? Or did you just assume?
I looked on the back of the package and and I did that. Said, two of these equals,
So
X
question, what did that do for you?
It did nothing for
it had to do something for you at the time. You chose to do it.
Mentally, so I think I was avoiding having a conversation with you saying, why the cookies?
Okay.
Or why the this or why the that? So I was avoiding that. That's what it did for. I guess that's what.
Okay. So it was more so. What's the name of the show?
Stronger Inside.
No.
Oh, secret eating. Secret,
yeah.
Yeah. I was. Yeah. That's what I was. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. You were, and that's kind of the point of this whole thing. Is like you're doing it in the shadows. You're doing it there, and that's not helping you break the habit. That's more so us worrying about calories.
Mm-hmm. And we're not only worrying about calories, but worrying about what someone else is going to think that is.
Yeah. Because you the reason you felt comfortable doing it is because you felt like I'm not going against the math.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not breaking the math. I'm not going against that. So I'm going to avoid it, and then I'll be fine. But really, a lot of the things that we're doing is not necessarily worried about the calories. It was more so about you changing the habits.
Right.
And you were continuing the habit somewhat behind closed doors in the shadows, lurking. No. But yeah, that's how it works. And what happens is if you don't log, it's so easy to just over consume a little bit. So that happens on the show a lot. And that's something I wanted to see if that's something you could relate to, or pretty sure there's some listeners there, because there's a lot of food logs that I've done with clients, and there's times where certain things just don't add up. But that is a personal journey, and really it's like looking in the mirror, because we've talked about this before on the show. It's not about impressing me.
Right.
It's not about making things look good for me, whether it be your food log or whatever, because I'm here to help you change, help you. And if you're not as honest with me or with whatever program you're doing, then you're almost harming yourself, because you're not really being honest with yourself. Because guess what happens when you go back, Ernest? So let's say we needed to go back let's say 2 months into a process, right? I'm like, let's go back and see how you've been eating and maybe why we have a plateau, right? And then we go back to those weeks. It's not there.
It's not right.
And you probably don't even remember it. You're not going to remember everything that you ate those different days.
Right.
So now you've basically erased what happened. And what happens a lot of times, people will get frustrated because it's almost as if it didn't happen. So they're almost looking at this clean eating thing, and they know they kind of had some things here or there, but they don't really have the hardcore proof. So now they're like, oh, this doesn't work for me, blah, 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 Same thing with logging exercise or things like that. It's like, if you don't know exactly how many days you're doing something or how many calories you're consuming, and then you go back and it looks favorable for you, and then it's frustrating.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens on the show. When they come back to them and say, you've consumed 5,000 calories on.
So after they do their food log and they come back and they tell them their self log, the log that they do their self, say, this is what I'm eating. And like you said, it's usually this low number, right?
Correct.
Then they start the second process of installing the cameras in the home. And that's where it gets interesting, right?
Real interesting.
That's where it gets real interesting. That's when the truth comes out, because you can see these people making efforts. They're trying. They really do try for the most part, between 80 to 90%. They're making some good choices. They're trying. But then what are some things that kind of stood out to you after the cameras were in the home?
So a couple of the things were spouses. So for instance, some of these people were like brothers and sisters. And so you would see the brother and sister working towards their goal, but then you had a spouse that wanted to eat a burger and chips, which are fries for them. And so you had them preparing. Yeah. So the wife who was trying to work her goal was preparing a burger and fries for her husband. And so while she ate a salad or something like that. And so again, those could be trigger type of situations where
a wise man once said, it's hard to enjoy your salad when there's a meat lover's pizza.
I'm trying to tell you. And so you will see her eat the salad while he's eating, I think it was even a triple burger or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so she leaned over and said, let me get a bite. And so that's one of the things where it's like, all right, you logged that you ate the salad, but what about that bite or two of that burger that you got too? So those things kind of add up. If you eat a bite of this unhealthy food over the course of 5 days, every day, that's extra calories that you're putting on, right?
Yeah.
Some of the other things we saw were cookies and biscuits being eating in like a side room or a closet or things like that.
These little compartments. It's like they're mafia drug dealer cars. You got the walls spinning around, and it's like, well, why are you hiding that stuff? Under the drawer.
You pull the book on the bookshelf, and the whole thing flips around, and you got a whole bunch
walls do a 360.
Right. You got baby D back there talking about, I got these cupcakes.
It's like, man, they come out of the little secret compartments, and what do? They eat one or two, they put them back. Now, what'll happen is they might eat one or two and then come back an hour later.
Right.
And eat one or two. And in their mind, they should have just sat down and ate 10 of them.
Right.
But they spaced it out throughout the day. And when it doesn't get recorded, in their mind, it goes back to those words we talked about, the nibbled and the snacked and the sampled. It's like, no, you ate 10 cookies. It's just straight over a span of 10 hours.
Right. Straight up. Then you had the cameras outside the house. So you have them following them to the gym. So you see people at the gym working out. And so you're like, okay, they are fit, or they're working towards.
But remember, these cameras, they don't know they're being watched outside the house.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So you see them working out and you see them doing these things, and so boom, everybody's good to go. And then they leave the gym, and then they finish their bike ride and they stop at a pub and they have a bacon burger and a beer, and then they ride the bike home and
drink a pint or 3.
Exactly. And then one of the women stated that it's okay to eat like that after your workout, because that's when your metabolism is at its highest and you can burn more calories.
Well, there is truth to that. There is truth to that. When it comes to what you call nutrient timing, meal timing, you do want to consume protein and carbohydrate post workout. That's when your body is, and that's why you'll see somebody do the post workout protein shake to where your body is saying refuel, refeed me. And
that sounds good, Wayne, but does that work for cinnamon buns?
Well, yeah, actually does, because your body can process the simple sugars better when your body's in that state.
Okay.
And so is that ideal? No, because you could still put yourself in a caloric surplus eating those things. So really, when you're recovering from the workout, we talked about glycogen storage again. So simple carbohydrates are going to be a actually preferred source than the complex carbs, the brown rice and things like that, because of, like I said, how fast it is absorbed. So there is some truth to it, but that is a tool that somebody on an elite level can use. If you're not doing the basics, then that's not something that you should be trying to do. That's a higher level tool, not a baseline. I need to lose 20 pounds plus tool.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that I saw were a lot of them would go to these restaurants, these takeaway restaurants.
Yeah.
And then they would eat the food in their car. So trying to hide from the cameras, trying to hide, so they don't bring the food back home. They're gonna eat it in the car on the way and then dump it in a random trash can. Those types of things, because they were avoiding trying to be caught at home eating these food and things like that. As well as one of the last things. So we also saw that people at work would eat and nibble while they're at their desk and those types of things.
The workplace.
So, yeah.
Frenemies.
Eating a bag of chips or, eating
Jim's
a biscuit.
at it again with the donuts.
Jim with these dang on donuts. So you eating those donuts, or you eating those, for them, the biscuits, which are like cookies and pastries and things like that, while you're just sitting at your desk doing these different
kind of biscuits. Those ain't your mama biscuits.
not mama biscuits.
Not your mama biscuits. Not your Pillsbury biscuits. They got the difference.
Not Mrs. Payne's biscuits. Mama Payne. Yeah, but so those are some of the things that they would see them doing, but not logging. Those are things that they weren't logging in that food diary. Those are things that they didn't take into account
when they did it themselves.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And so then after that happens, they got to face the music, because the show invites them to, I don't forget what they said. They do like this setup meeting. They're like, oh, we're going to come sit down and talk to you or whatever. Right.
Right. With the nutritionist.
Okay. That's what it was. Right. Yeah. And then they show up and then they reveal all the things that they've been eating. They have all the tapes. They have the tapes from their home. Then they have the videos from outside where they were at work, at the pubs, or the interesting thing about the show, they had like recreations of the foods, like on a table, like a spread, right?
Yeah. Now stop for a second. Take a minute and think. If someone laid out all the food you ate in a week and put it on a table in front of you, what would that table look like? Would you be pleased with that table, or would you be like, what's going on?
Are you asking me personally?
You personally, the insiders personally, take yourself there for a second. Take yourself there for a second. If you saw all the food you ate for a week, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, that's a good tool. I mean, I guess when they see it all in one sitting.
Right.
Yeah. And that was the shocker. You could see them like, really scratching their head and their eyes kind of getting big, saying, wow, that was me. I really did that. They're almost like a person who was like sleepwalking or something.
Right.
They're like, what? I did that? Because it gets pushed to their subconscious. They're just kind of mindlessly eating and grazing and doing these things. And then when the actual food is on that table, like you said, if those people ate a pizza, they'll buy another pizza and put it on the table so that spread is in front of them. And that was the eye opener for them, right?
Right. And then the videos of them, as you put salad dressing on your salad, or as you put ketchup on your fries.
A lot of the condiments
right.
of just, because
all those things add up.
Yeah, and the way, somebody will say, well, I made, for on that show, I made chips or something. They made the fries, or I made a salad or something, right? But then you see them putting on massive amounts of these condiments, whether it be dressings or they're using mayos and
butter.
They're cooking with butter, or they're just even using something like olive oil or something, but they're just pouring it all in the pan. They're not even looking, they're not measuring, and it adds up. It adds up.
I think one person made cereal. It was like wheat cereal. So they took it out and broke it up and had the wheat in the bowl. They added butter, sugar, and peanut butter, and I think like cream, and they ate that. And I was like, that sounds, first of all, that doesn't sound appetizing, number one, but just all those ingredients is just like, that's wild.
Yeah. How did you come up with that?
I don't know.
Cream and butter. Yeah. But those are things. And then what somebody will say is, well, oh yeah, I had cereal.
Right.
No. You didn't have cereal.
Right. That's a whole nother concoction.
Yeah, I don't know what you had.
No.
You had a mutant version of cereal on steroids. And then so you have that part of it, and then really the next part of the additional calories, like you said before, a lot of your calories previously were coming from drinks, but those were sugary drinks. Those are from the coffees, the sodas,
right.
Juices, whatever. Even people that are drinking, if you're drinking these sports drinks, Gatorades and things like that, but you're not an athlete, if you're not, because really think about Gatorade, the commercial, it's for the athlete. It's
right.
Either sponsors of Gatorade or Powerade or something. These are people who are playing sports, 4 quarters, going to practice. That is where you replenish electrolytes, and you can process those carbohydrates. So take us back to what the woman said and what I'm saying. So if you turn around a Gatorade and look at the back, it's going to have, depending on what size you get, 26 grams of sugar on the carbohydrate side, right?
Right.
That is going to be in there. I know they have sugar-free Gatorades and things like that, but that was more so for people who were trying to just drink these things just to drink them. But if you are an athlete and you're really drinking this Gatorade, you should be drinking the regular one, and that's how much is in that.
Right.
I used to pound Gatorades and Powerades and all that different stuff, sports drinks, when I was playing, because that's how your body replenishes. But we're talking about a person who's not an athlete and is trying to reduce body fat. A sports drink is not really going to be your friend.
Right.
And so that there's not really the same. But those are the type of drinks that you were drinking.
Right.
We look on this show, these people were drinking something a little harder. They were drinking the beers, the ciders, the hard alcohols, the wines. And that was where they really, really added a surplus of calories. What'd you think about that part of the show?
I think it was eye-opening. And I think a lot of people might not take into consideration the amount of calories that are in a glass of wine or in a beer. And then when you get into these social settings, how fast you can drink 3, 4, or 5 of them without even thinking. And and so, 3, 4, 5 glasses of wine, or 3, 4, 5 pints of beer, things like that. And that's before the food. And so now you already have 400 or 500 calories on your stomach, and and that's not even counting what you're about to eat.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after your inhibitions are down because of the alcohol content,
you eat more.
You eat more. Because you're not even considering. Now you're just enjoying yourself. You're having a good time. You let your hair down.
You're like, I'll worry about tomorrow.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them worried about tomorrow, and how they worried about it was that morning breakfast was a hangover breakfast. And so now I got to eat these fried things, or I got to eat these salty things to kind of get over my hangover. And so now you're just kind of doubling down on the night before and then the morning after.
Yeah, you would see that. You would see that to where these people are drinking in the evening to let their hair down, or I had a stressful day after work, or quote unquote, I earned it. And it was a slippery slope because one would turn into two. And think about, so you want to talk about food logs and secret eaters. There should be a secret, or not secret, there should be another show or an extended version called Secret Drinkers. Because I've said this before, I've never seen a food log where somebody has put 5 rum and cokes, a whole bottle of wine.
Right.
Are we to assume that nobody's ever done that?
Right.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
But you're being a secret drinker by not adding it to your food log. And then when you go back, you basically lie to yourself, because you go back and you say, oh yeah, I had the spring salad, and then I had 2 glasses of wine. No, you didn't. You had 3 or 4. Or you went back home and then you had a little bit more, whatever. Just put it in there. Just put it in there, and you will see exactly what's happening. A lot of times we talk about portion sizes that are kind of out of whack with food. Portion sizes with alcohol are always over poured. If you go to your favorite bar or something, and the people, the bartender or something, they're probably not even pouring your regular size drink, whether you're getting a mixed drink or whatever. A beer, because it's in that glass. But certain things where they have to pour a certain amount, it's probably going to be a little bit more. If you're drinking things like margaritas and some of these high sugar drinks, you're really going overboard with the sugar, with the calories. And the thing about alcohol is there's no nutritional value. So you're just not getting anything from it. You're not getting any protein. You're not getting any fat. Your body uses that to run.
Right.
And then depending on what you're drinking, you may get a carbohydrate from some type of mixed thing, but that's not coming from the actual alcohol, unless it's like a certain type of wine or something. So let's do this. So for those who don't know, these are the serving sizes and the calorie count pretty much for alcohol. When you look at a wine glass, we've seen some huge wine glasses before. A serving of wine is 5 ounces. And depending on what type of wine, but roughly it's going to be around 125 calories. A serving of beer, 12 ounces. So if you're going to get one of these big mugs or whatever they have at these other places, that's not one serving. You're getting 2, maybe 3 servings in one drink with the bigger mug or pint or whatever they're drinking. So beer, 145 roughly around, depends on what you're drinking. There's so many different types of beers that you would have to look up exactly what you're drinking. There's light beers, there's dark beers, and all these other IPAs and all this different stuff. So then you have champagne. That's going to be about 4 ounces as a serving. And then when it comes to
low key, champagne is terrible. If you're drinking champagne and you ain't celebrating nothing, you got bigger issues. Okay,
you ain't fancy. And then so for like liquor, for like a vodka or something like that, depending on the proof, it can vary. But the serving size is 1.5 ounces. Very small. Very small.
Shot.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, but again, like I said, if you're drinking these mixed drinks, or if you're making your drinks at home, these people are pouring 2 to 3 servings, and then they mix it with something. Let's say you have a rum and coke, right? And you pour yourself 3 ounces of liquor, and then you pour in about 8 ounces of coke to make your drink. That is not what the actual nutrition facts are of the 1.5 and whatever else that with the Coke. So, and really, a lot of people run into problems with alcohol with the mixer. They're mixing alcohol with the things that we talked about that you were drinking, Ernest. So that's the double down effect.
Right.
They're drinking some type of, they get fancy or something. Let's say some type of coffee type of drink with the Baileys or whatever, right? And then they add alcohol to it. Or they're drinking sodas with alcohol in it, rum and Cokes and all those different things. Or they're drinking the mixed drinks that really taste good and all those other things, or the margaritas, the summery drinks. So it's the alcohol and the other things that are just straight up sugar, simple syrup and all those. I mean, just think of that name right there. You ever made simple syrup? You're making sugar, liquid sugar,
right,
to make your drink taste good.
Sugar water.
Yeah. So all these people are doing this in secret for the most part. And they'll say, oh, I had a little drink the other night, or, oh, I had a drink here or there, not realizing, one, just the additional calories that they're not tracking. But there are some other effects of alcohol that we can go into another episode. We can do a whole episode on alcohol and the effects on the body. But it does change the way your body is going to burn fat. And it's not just calories. So if you're listening to this, well, you are listening to it. Alcohol is not, the effects of alcohol are not the same as the effects of food. Because one, you're not getting any nutritional value from it. Two, your body's not using those calories the same way. And a French fry is not going to affect your body the same way as 1.5 ounces of vodka. Yeah, that was a big part. I mean, it was like, wow, does Britain have a drinking problem?
Right.
It was cheers every episode. I don't think I've seen any non-drinkers on the show.
I think, yeah, I hadn't either.
There was wine bottles in the kitchen. There was going out late nights, eating those things, which led to people ordering those foods, those takeaway foods and all those things. So yeah. So then after this, right? So they've kind of get their eyes open. They have to deal with the truth of their undercover videos being shown to them. Well, what was the next step? They had to,
after they had the experience of seeing everything that they've eaten, had the meeting with or being confronted by the nutritionist to show them, consuming all these types of things is the equivalent of eating. Some of them was like 300 chicken nuggets in a month, or eating all these crazy foods. Then they put them on a diet that would put them in a caloric deficit for 10 weeks, and they can experience what the actual, if you stick to this diet and do these things the way you're supposed to do them, then you can actually start seeing yourself lose weight, cut out all these triggers for you, reduce your drinking, cut out the sneaking of snacks, cut out eating the chips.
So basically, they had them eat the amount of calories they thought they were eating at the beginning of the show.
Right. Maybe even a little bit more, because some people thought they were under eating.
Yeah.
Some people were actually under eating, and then would just binge on the weekends, and that put them at the caloric surplus.
Yep. Yeah, you would see that. And that's something that we see sometimes, and we've talked about kind of that Monday, Friday weigh-in that we've done a little bit. And for certain clients, I'll do that because that's what happens. Some people can do 4 days, 5 days of really good, clean eating, and then the wheels fall off Saturday, Sunday. But Saturday, Sunday almost erases Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, and then they're back to square one, or even end up being in a caloric surplus, like you said. So really getting a hold of the habits allows you to have that consistency. So yeah, there was a lot of success stories. You would see families actually kind of change things around to where
lose about 2-3 stones.
Yeah, so a stone is 14 pounds. Just a stone is 14 pounds. Just
not a kidney stone.
No.
Okay.
Oh man. Yeah. So you would see these people come in after 10 weeks and really look different, feel different. They had reduced the processed foods, they had incorporated more vegetables, they had cut down the alcohol. You would see them talk about how they felt better and have more energy to work out more, or spend more family time. All these different things came into play when they changed their diet.
Right.
Yeah. And really it took for them to look at themselves or have somebody else hold a mirror up to what they were doing,
Right.
because for whatever reason they couldn't figure it out themselves, right?
Right. And one person, this is back to the beginning. One of the ladies said that she's been dieting for 20 years. She's tried the Jenny Craig, or
So she's been in a caloric deficit for 20 years.
she's been dieting for 20 years. She tried Weight Watchers. She tried Atkins. She even created her own diet. And when she said that, I said,
Yeah.
created your own one. And that didn't work either. The one you made specifically for you.
Well, I don't know how she thought she could do that. It's like I'm not good at this, but I'm gonna try to create something.
Right.
Okay.
Right. No. So even when she finally was confronted with everything that was doing to sabotage her weight loss, she was able to, refocus, recommit, and do it the right way. And then she ended up coming down, I believe, a stone and a half.
Yeah.
Cheerio, mate.
Yeah. It goes back to pretty much everything we talk about. It's real food, limiting the processed foods, limiting massive amounts of dairy, actually cooking for yourself. And that takes care of a bulk of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
When you do those things, the bulk of your issues just start to get erased. You don't have to worry about what other people are making the food with, or the restaurant. You don't have to worry about so much the portion size as much. You don't have to order stuff specific to try to make it feel healthier. Like, oh, I'm gonna go to a restaurant and then they only have burgers and I'm just not going to eat the bun, and then I'm gonna, you're making all these kind of small accommodations to make yourself feel a little better, and maybe it is a little healthier, but it's really not the best thing you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just accumulates. So when you can really go back to the principles that we always talk about here, to where it's eat vegetables, eat real food, eat lean meat, limit those things, whether it be the processed foods or the sugary drinks, the alcohols, and we'll definitely do a whole episode on alcohol in the near future. Things work out for you, because
Mm-hmm.
you can see how the people were acting after they drank. They would go home and eat more, or they would sleep in and be tired and eat a terrible breakfast, or it was just a chain effect. We never see anybody get wasted at night, then wake up and do a 6-mile run
Right.
at 6 a.m. and beat at the crack of dawn.
Right.
So again, there's so many other factors that goes into it. It's just like changing the lifestyle.
Right. And that's one of the things, as far as changing the lifestyle, that you had us doing in the beginning, was try not to, when we were starting off, we're eating clean. It was one of the things we tried to do was to try to make healthy versions of the bad foods we used to eat.
That's what you tried to do.
That's what we tried to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, but starting off, that might not be the best route to go, because you're still leaning in to that old habit of, having the burger type thing. So instead of the 85-15 fat on the ground beef, maybe it's a leaner ground beef and things like that, but you're still making that burger, and you still kind of have that your mindset
thing.
Your mindset's not changing, right?
Still have it, yeah.
And so it was best I thought it was best for me to kind of leave all that stuff alone and just try new things.
Yeah.
Try new things, expand your food catalog, so to speak, so that when you do get to a healthier place and you do want to go to that burger or whatever, then it's fine. And then you can do that, lean those leaner cuts of beef and things like that, where if you want to have a burger, but don't just jump right into, okay, well, I'm used to eating burgers, so I'm going to continue to eat burgers. I'm just going to eat a healthier burger and still these fries and things like that. And so now, but instead of doing that, just try to just do something totally different. Add to your collection of what you're able to cook, what you know how to cook. Learn some new things, try new foods. And then once you get to a place where you are healthier and you're not so much triggered by some of these food choices that you're making, then you can maybe go back to try to make those healthy versions of the things you used to eat. And I think that's kind of where we're at now. So if we feel like we want a pizza or something like that, we might not order the pizza. We'll buy the dough and we'll make our own pizza at home. You know, we'll buy the dough, we'll buy the sauce and things like that, and we can make our own, so we can control kind of what we're putting in the pizza. We know what we're putting in the pizza. We put our own toppings on there, whether it be vegetables and peppers, or, you know, the pepperonis and things like that. But we can control the portion amount better than we can control by just ordering it online, not knowing who's doing what to what, you know? So.
Yeah. And there's a time and a place for recreations and making it something unhealthy, healthier. That's something you do want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be in a place where you're not really a slave to the habit.
Right.
And we talked about that on the last episode where these people were sugar addicts and all these other things, to where they were snackers, hardcore. And then they go to Jenny Craig or they go to Weight Watchers and they're like, hey, here's 3 snacks a day. Eat a brownie at noon, eat ice cream at night, just eat our version of it.
Right.
And then you never really break from that. You're never saying, let me eat an apple, let me eat cucumber and carrots. Let me, you know, you're not changing those habits. So
Right.
yeah, that's a good point. I think within the show, it just shows you that this whole weight loss thing is not impossible. It can be done. And if you are failing, if you are struggling, your body isn't broken. You're not an alien. You're not different than all the other people on this planet. You just need to clean it up. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with whatever program you're following. And if you need help, get help. Because really what this show did, it just helped these people. It just helped them. It got them help because it had somebody else, a third party, an authority figure or somebody to say, look, this is what you're doing. I know you think you're doing this, but that ain't working. That ain't it. You need to do this. And that's what really helps kind of pull people up and help them make the necessary changes in lifestyle, because it's doable. None of these people who lost the weight towards, in the latter part of the show, they didn't do anything extreme. They weren't. Did you hear anybody say, "Oh yeah, okay, now I'm doing intermittent fasting. Oh, I'm doing CrossFit 8 times a day or 8 times a week."
Right.
They didn't say any of these things. They just made basic changes.
Yep.
And if you're listening and you're struggling, you just need to make those basic changes and then do them consistently, because that was to end the show. It's 10 weeks, right?
Yep.
That is a real sample set, sample size. You can't do this stuff for 4 days. You can't do this stuff for 2 weeks. It needs to be done for 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks over time, and you will see the results. So I think everybody should tune in and just check it out. I think they're even available on YouTube if you can't use it on demand on whatever cable subscriber you have. But there is a free way to watch this show, and just check it out. Watch 1 or 2 episodes and you might see yourself in some of these people or a relative, or you can just learn from it, because it's easy, but it's not easy, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting to see those people and see themselves, watch themselves in horror.
Right. Yeah. Because it's just like that. They would go through them eating, and they'd be like, that's one day?
That's me? I don't even remember that.
I don't know who that person is.
Yeah, exactly.
One lady pretty much stole the candy bar from her child, and I was like, that's wild.
Wow. The sugar addiction is real. Yeah. So if you get a chance, if you feel like you are a secret eater or you want to check out the show, check it out. Like I said, it's really easy to find, probably on YouTube. So if you possibly are a secret eater, or if you feel like you don't know how many calories you're consuming in a day and you just don't know, if you're prepared to be honest with yourself, I say at least 3 days, not just one day, because what happens when you start recording, you seem to clean up your act. That's something that I've noticed.
Yeah.
So people clean up their act, and I've done this for a long time, and this is why I do longer than 1 day, 3 days, because you can kind of send in your representative. Your representative, they'll show up and they'll eat the salads and drink the waters for a couple of days, and then the real you shows up to work. And you're like, oh, there they are. So really, take 2, 3 days, 4 days, whatever, and try to include a weekend. Don't just do your weekdays, and use a calorie tracker. It might take some work to where you need to look at portion size. These things are pretty easy. A lot of these calorie tracker apps allow you to scan barcodes. You're able to really just find the true number of calories you're consuming, and then they're going to give you the macronutrient split. But what I would say is don't track your day trying to hit a goal. Just track your day and see what happens. See what you're doing and see how it works out. So you want to just track, and then at the end of the day, say, okay, this is what my typical day looks like. And then from there, you can kind of reverse engineer and put in some numbers that'll work for you if you're using one of those apps or that are going to tell you what macros to use or how many calories to use. But right now, I don't want you to track your macros. Excuse me, I don't want you to track your calories trying to make your day fit into 1,600 calories, and then you say, oh, this is all I eat. No, go track your food. If you have sporadic weekends where you go eat certain stuff or you have favorite meals, put those in and see what that day looks like. If you do drink alcohol and you seem to sometimes drink a little bit more than you like for yourself, put it in. See what a 6-pack looks like. In terms of calories. See what a whole bottle of wine looks like in calories. And then you'll be able to really adjust or just be more educated on the fact that this is what's going in your body and this is why your body's not changing. So really, this is an honesty episode. It's an honesty TV show to really just kind of look in the mirror. And if you want to take those steps closer to getting to where you want to get to, then a food log and checking out this show would really be beneficial.
Yeah, man.
Cool. All right. That's been another episode. We'll see you next time.
We out.
Thank you for listening to the Stronger Inside podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, then subscribe. Make sure you stay connected with us via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Stronger Inside Podcast. Remember, every like, comment, and share spreads the message of health, fitness, and wellness.